Welcome to the Overflow. My name is Rosalind.
My name is Brian.
And we are just here, sometimes weekly, sometimes not, to share what we know, what we've learned about life, love, marriage, mostly marriage, and we tend to share from our overflow. So when we're in a good space and we feel we've been consistently filling our cups and we're in a place to share our love, our growth, and our journey.
Yeah, we are not experts. We're just here to share our experiences, what we learned, like my wife said, and really just kind of like create a community, guys, where we're answering, things that are just coming up in our relationship.
Things to talk about. We tend to start off
with what are you learning?
This week I am learning about what friendship means, what it means to me, how to manage, taper, expand my expectations of friendships, and including from myself, but mostly what my perspective of friendships are now as an adult who has friends who are also adulting. And in September I'll officially be mid-30. And what does that look like for friendships? What does a healthy friendship look? What are healthy expectations for me to have?
Friends. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think what I'm learning is the difference of your desires can be different than your beliefs. And if your beliefs don't line up with your desires, you're not going to get what you desire. So really looking at my beliefs and what is serving me to get the things that I want. I want to be better at speaking. I want to be better at communicating. But if I feel like I'm not a communicator, I'm not going to be good at it, So just looking
That's not your belief.
It's not my belief.
Okay.
So I have to change my belief about myself to be able to get the desires that I want, So that's what I'm learning this week.
All right.
So I think what we were going to talk about this week is what we didn't sign up, or we didn't know what we were signing up for when we got married.
Yeah, there's a lot of times in your marriage where you might feel like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Roger, you tied it now.
Yeah.
You're in it, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of things that you're like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Of marriage, mostly because there wasn't a lot of things like this. We love and really appreciate the Love Hour podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How married are you?
Yeah. Or even this, I think Daddy Issues is good, but it's
Daddy Issues. Yeah, so just podcasts where people are talking about
things,
relationships and marriage specifically, and really just getting into details about what those hard times are, the ups and the downs. We get that very vague. You've been through hard times, but you stick with it. You go through ups and downs, but you work hard. What are those? What does that look like? And a lot of what we're realizing is a lot of the experiences are fairly universal.
Yeah.
In the pursuit of a healthy marriage, a lot of people go through similar things. Everything is specific to your relationship, but just certain things. So we have a list of things that we didn't know we signed up for.
Yeah. And hopefully this help you guys, when you're thinking about your marriage or thinking about getting married, just there's things that of course that comes with it. I think the first thing I think I put on my list was dealing with emotional trauma from each other's past. I did not expect to have to deal with my issues, or somebody else's. Now you think, man, I just need to get over it, and we're just going to work together, and we're just
if I love you, it'll all go away. If I love you, it'll all. And I'm talking about love, the feelings of love.
Yeah.
If I just love you,
it don't matter.
Everything is.
Yeah, as long as she cool to me, we good. We good. Man, just getting. Well, and I'll give you an example. Okay, just my wife has an issue, right? I'm working hard, I'm working, and in my mind, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, right? I'm, paying the bills, taking the trash out, taking the dog out, you know, make sure the house is safe, you know. But then, maybe she has a complaint, maybe she has an issue, and she, brings up, hey, can you maybe like, what was it? I'm trying to just think of something that I used. Maybe it was like the dishes, or put them up a certain way, or can you be mindful when you're in the bathroom? Can you just pick it up, make sure it's nice. And her maybe saying something, I took it as she's being critical of me as a person, not that she's just saying, hey, can you adjust this? I'm like, man, she not appreciating me going out there, working that long job.
To be fair, his love language is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
And I was not affirming the things that he was doing. So it did come off critical because I didn't affirm the positive, but I did point out the negative. So that was also on me too, but it wasn't all just him and his trouble.
Yeah, but I had to, learn how to like even request that as a need.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had to process my own issues of not being able to communicate, not being able to say, hey baby, like, look, I feel like you appreciate me, but when I hear this is how it makes me feel, especially when I don't hear the positive. We had to get to that place.
Yeah, we did.
But that was working through my trauma, and then you having to deal with me going through that.
And then for me, so dealing with emotional trauma. So there's things that we dealt with maybe from your like childhood or so for me, I grew up in a house where the silent treatment was from parent to child, something that was used when someone is mad at you or disappointed in you or angry or something. And so you could be speaking to that parent, and to this day you could be speaking to that parent and not get a response because they have an attitude. So because of that, as an adult, getting that from someone I love, respect, and care about is triggering, because then it puts me in a place of I am not worth the respect to respond. My husband is a thinker.
Yes.
And sometimes he takes his time to think, to the point of analysis paralysis. So it's not nearly anywhere where it used to be. But so when we would, be having a discussion, I express to him that I feel something, and it might be in those moments where he's feeling criticized, or working through processing not feeling criticized, analysis paralysis, and he's thinking, but he's not saying anything out loud.
Yeah.
He's just looking at me.
Yeah, and it's the trauma thing, because I'm trying to think of the perfect response because of fear of rejection, fear of not what I'm saying is going to be accepted. So.
And then on the outside, I said something, I exposed my heart, and you're just looking at me.
I'm like, hold on. And all these thoughts are like, don't make a mistake.
Listen,
make sure you
I
say it
did not
right.
sign up to be ignored.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. It might be. But that's the truth, That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making sure that I was responding.
Yeah.
But so it's funny, both of our traumas were activated at the same time.
Yeah, no, they're always activated. They seem to be.
Yeah.
At the same time, and someone has to realize it first.
Yeah, somebody has to realize it, step out of it, step back, and step back into it to be able to say, okay, this is what's really going on. But like I said, we didn't know that getting married and thinking that would be an issue, because we dated for so long, and
so
we had conversations. Like, we dated for 7 years before we got married.
6.5.
That was 6.5. I'd say she was counting the days.
I was counting the hours.
You count the hours, yeah. See, but it was, we never came across that kind of issue. It didn't come up until we started to live with each other and kind of combine. But everything else was a breeze because we understood each other, for the most part.
Yeah.
But
okay. So another thing we didn't know we signed up for was the dynamic of your family of origin or of each other's family of origin. I didn't know I signed up to have that dynamic infiltrate or infused into my home, our home that we were making. You think when you get married, you become a new thing, and you do, but also old habits die hard.
Yeah. And your lens is always colored by how you were raised, no matter what. You know, you might say, okay, this is wrong, this is right, but I think a lot of times our experiences are like, it's just you see and expect things, even though you know y'all might have a conversation of your expectations,
Right.
but you're still looking at your spouse through the eyes of how your family worked. You know,
Yeah. Or just like even more so, like more focused on dynamic. Like you might have in-laws who have boundary issues.
Yeah.
Guess what happens when you get married? You have to deal with people pushing your boundaries.
Yeah, extending those things.
And then you might have to enforce your boundaries more than you've ever had to before. And so that's a dynamic thing that's like pushed its way into your home, or not, but it's something you actively have to work on to keep it out of your home. Because if you don't actively work on it, it's gonna happen. If you ignore it, and you're like, oh, that's just how they get down. You'll look up 10 years later and be frustrated.
Yeah, what's going on, and then even just something simple like when we learned about traveling with each other, like her family growing up, like you sit in the front seat, you gotta be a passenger, you gotta be up and awake.
If you are riding shotgun, you are the navigator, you are the snack preparer. I don't have to open my bags. You're riding shotgun. Like whoever's riding shotgun is like preparing this. Like you open everything and you hand it to the person driving. You're the DJ. Like you are the co-pilot.
But my family is like, of course, if we're eating, like you help the person get their stuff. But man, if you're tired, go ahead and just pass out. You know what I'm saying? For a couple, 30 minutes, an hour. You know, I'm just like, so, you know, in her mind, that was seen as me being rude or, you know, not showing up. And I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to take a nap so I can be well rested so we can.
Honestly, I would be the passenger and be an amazing co-pilot, but I'd be getting car sick, so I have to drive everywhere.
Yeah, for the most part.
Especially if it's long distance.
Yeah, if it's long distance,
I have to.
Yeah, unless you're just tired and you need sleep.
Yeah.
But like those simple things, figuring out those things are not wrong. It's just something that needs to be communicated.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you have to determine what works. So it might not be wrong. You know, some people might not mind the co-pilot falling asleep, or they might not see it as, oh, this person doesn't have boundaries, because they don't mind.
Yeah.
And that they're okay with living like that. Well, that might not work within the bubble of your marriage, and you have to protect the bubble of your marriage.
Yeah. And like I said, it might be different too. Like there's different things that we do, or different dynamics that we do, like that our family it's just different, you know.
Yeah, we don't spank our son.
Yeah, and then like
that's a big one.
I'm in the kitchen cleaning most of the time, and you clean the bathroom. Like we just have two different things, you know. So like it's just interesting.
I'm not a takeover wife. I don't.
Yeah.
Just tell my husband what he gonna do and where he gonna show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talk about it, and he can choose not to come if he doesn't want to.
True.
Our wedding was our wedding. It wasn't my wedding. I didn't just tell you what time to show up and what you're wearing.
That's true, because I was like, nah, we ain't doing this.
I still have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just our dynamic was different. But even in that, also, the next thing to like piggyback off of that was changing our dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, how we care for each other, how we talk to each other,
how we love each other.
Yeah.
So like, one thing I didn't realize I was signing up for and getting married was, like, you assume you're going to grow as a person, but you don't really practically know what that looks like. Like, what does that really mean? It means now I am a different person, and what was working does not anymore. So now we got to do things differently.
Yeah.
It means he is a different person.
Yeah.
What was working with him does not work anymore, and now I got to learn how to do things differently. We didn't sign up for it. We didn't realize that that's what we were signing up for.
Yeah. And guys, I want like we understood that, I'll say this, like we understood that we would change because I,
No, we didn't. Like, we thought we did.
yeah, I'm talking about you think like little, like you think it like a little bit, you think it's a little
Logically,
bit,
you know you're gonna change.
yeah.
But it does, like, to understand, we didn't.
No,
we thought
just,
we did.
We talking about we just think like I guess in the sense of just getting older, you know, you get older and smarter, you know what I'm saying, but not having to change certain ideas that you were thinking and certain maybe ways you spoke and just interacted.
Think about it like this. Like, the way maybe if you were 18, 19 and
Yeah.
you had that, like, I'm gonna live forever attitude, and like you were way more reckless, like,
Yeah.
as a young adult, right? You
Mhm.
were more, you had more energy to do things that might not have been good investments in your future, or you might have, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of adults, it's pretty universal. You look back and go, I was so dumb,
Yeah,
or like,
you moved
oh,
in
that was a dumb.
ignorance.
You moved in ignorance, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then you move into a different phase of life. You have more responsibility. You have more to lose. So now you see things with like a more of a wisdom lens, and you see, oh, okay, count the cost and weigh the options and this and that, right?
Mhm.
We all think we're free spirited, or we think we're impulsive, and
Yeah.
until like we grow up, and then you realize, oh, that was just like more of a childish mindset. Some people truly are, but
Yeah.
most of
yeah.
us are just childish. But what I'm saying is, when you look back, you go, I made correct choices according to what I knew.
Mhm.
I had proper expectations according to the information I had. I understood that life was hard, and it was. Like, I knew what tired was when I was 18, right?
Mhm.
I've just experienced a different level of tired now that I'm married and a parent.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a different depth of it. So, like, you know you're going to grow, you know you're going to change, but then you experience a different depth of
Mhm.
growth and change, and like what that means practically speaking. Like, what does that look like?
It's kind of like changing cultures. That's how it kind of explain it. Like I'm coming into a new, like, and it's kind of, it's not like I say this. It's not like I felt like, and we both feel like it's not even feel like the person changes up. It's, hey, I realized this about myself. They come into a realization of themselves,
Yeah.
and maybe that requires you as a partner to change some verbiage, to adjust how maybe certain actions are, like you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like on Kev on Stage, Kevin Frederick and his wife Melissa, they were on a panel for the Dear Future Wifey podcast. You haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's really good. The whole panel, Dear Future Wifey is the name of it. It's another good podcast, but he was basically saying that moving into like a tougher time in their marriage, it was basically his wife evolved out of a version that was easier to love because she was requiring less of him. But as she moved into a stage of her own evolution, she realized she needs more from her husband because she wants a deeper relationship with him. So it's going to require you to heal emotionally so you can talk and express to me. Like Brian was saying, like, oh, this is how that makes me feel, and I realize this is what I need. Like, that's a process that men have to get through sometimes. Even women, even me, like, understanding what I needed. So, like, it also requires, like, changing our dynamic. For us personally, it was, I went to therapy. I started healing. So now I'm requiring different things of my husband. Now my codependency is being healed. And I'm not going to say it's okay every time anymore. It's not okay. I don't want to do this for the rest of our life. So, yes, I'm going to confront you so we can work through it and so this can stop being an issue. Healthy confrontation. We didn't fight. It was healthy confrontation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to push. And so we met in 2006.
Yeah.
I wasn't pushing him like this since then. And this was just 3-4 years ago.
Well, no.
2-3 years ago.
It's about. Well, I say you hit 5, like 5, 6.
4 years ago. I went to 6. Our son is 6.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to therapy when he was 2.
Yeah.
And I think I started pushing our dynamic change like 9 months to a year into therapy. Like really pushing for the dynamic change.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, about 3-4 years ago. So it was, I know I always said this, it's okay. I'm telling you it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's having to deal with being criticized and being challenged in a new way.
Yeah,
and, this always used to work before. It doesn't anymore.
Yeah, and just learning the language that she was using, I think it was a process for both of us because she had to learn how to communicate without being like angry or maybe upset or frustrated because that's what it came off of.
Yeah.
It wasn't in.
But I was angry. I was mostly angry at myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I was angry. I was frustrated. I had been dealing with this, for so long. But really, in therapy, I learned I wasn't dealing with it. I was making space for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to step into that space to leave less room for what wasn't serving us.
Yeah.
Serving me things that were hurting me emotionally, and I was just eating it. Like, I had to stop. And so now we got stuff in front of us we got to sort through and work out, and that was difficult. I changed, I initiated the change in our relationship dynamic. I'm glad I did. Yeah. I'm glad we did. I'm glad he didn't turn around and go the other way and say, he did say this isn't what I'm signed up for, but he was like, all right, well, let's figure it out.
Yeah. And I think we both understood that we weren't perfect, in the sense of like, oh, this is good. It's been all right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the hardest part going through that period was just understanding when a person is changing, what requires is empathy, and then also a level of understanding, like that person and yourself, their feelings, and how if you really love somebody, you're going to make space for that change.
Yeah, and that's not something we knew we were signing up for. It was making space for the change. You fell in love with a person. They fell in love with a person. And you expect to love that person.
That version of them.
For the rest of their life. And, we always see, like, each other's potential, and I see what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And the different evolutions of him that might take to fully embody, who he is. I see that. I always have. I'm not going to get emotional, but I think that it's you don't really realize practically who even you need to be with that future person.
Yeah,
and the changes you need to make to grow into that person, which is the next thing we have on our list. I didn't sign up to change so much.
Yes. And I compared it to, like, it's a difference between, like, saying I need to drop a few pounds, or I need to just be better healthy wise, eat stuff better. No, it's like you need to evolve to be in this relationship.
It's like going from a couch potato to like an professional level athlete, as far as like all the lifestyle changes you would need to make, or like you need to go. It's not just oh, I cut out red meat. Like, no, you cut out red meat, and then now you're vegan, and then you
or
then you went from just walking around the neighborhood to now you run marathons. Like, yeah, no, it's gonna be the similar thing, but now it's different levels of it. Like,
yeah, well, it's just not even like you're just switching off something. You're just okay. If you're going to, I used to eat processed food, but now I grow my own. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're now finding the source. Like, you're being conscious of your decisions,
yeah,
and how you're treating each other,
yeah,
and you're growing in levels of that. So it's like, okay, I learned this is the reason why I said that.
Yeah, the reasons why. So even your biases, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're talking in like a lot of like racial talks or talks about fighting sexism and things like that. Like you talk about biases. Well, there's biases you have in your marriage. Like Brian's love language is words of affirmation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's positive, positive
Visual
reinforcement. Positive reinforcement. You do that with children. In my mind, it's the same thing. Why am I doing that? And you're grown.
Yeah, or quality time. Like Rosalind's your quality time, and be like, look, we just sat next to each other and looked at this TV and talked about. Like, I'm trying to talk about this show, and you like, this is not it, or just it'd just be like, okay, well, we just wasted time just sitting here. I'd rather you just said we did something else.
Yeah.
And just sit here and not count as quality time because the quality is low in that event.
Or even like, Brian is very practical.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense why both of us need to go to the store to pick up 2 things.
Yeah.
To me, that's quality time. Get in his car. Let's go together.
Yeah, I'm like in and out. I'm not there for the conversation and talking. I'm like, hey, look,
We're going to hold hands and we're going to walk down all the aisles.
we need cheese. We need to go right down the cheese aisle. Go get it. We need to get milk,
Literally
egg, bread.
dragging me through the store.
Let's get it. Let's get out. Yeah, but
Change your biases. There's things about you that like will change. There's things that you may not have ever been willing to do. Like I don't even think you were ever like going to therapy was ever on your radar. It wasn't on mine. We used to be like, Jesus is our counselor.
Oh yeah,
We literally said that when we first got married.
Yeah, and it is in the sense of like, it wasn't like God wasn't helping us. Like when we would, like there was like God was doing mental work, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you just need an expert to help that little edge.
We still hear from God.
We were growing.
But also, anyone with a faith walk knows that like your attunement and hearing from God can fluctuate because of what you are doing in your practices and what you're meditating on and what you're feeding yourself and all of that. And so when you're not doing everything you're supposed to do, there's a lot more noise going on and you're not hearing from God as clearly there because there's more static in the way. And so like in those times, usually you're at your unhealthiest, and that's when your relationship is suffering the most, and it helps to have someone to sort through the mess, someone to help bring you guys to the root of what's going on.
And God's like a good parent. He's not going, unless you are asking for a dynamic, like a real change, and you say, God, I need tools, I need whatever you can give me. I wasn't praying that. You know what I'm saying? I was saying like, make sure I'm straight and make sure I'm a good person, like make sure my mind's good. And he did.
Yeah.
But if I didn't like seek him and ask, like, hey, this is what I really like, what I need to make my marriage better, it was just going to go. I was leaving it in the atmosphere, not really being focused on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that's gonna be part 1 of what I didn't sign up for.
You can leave that last one for the whole, or we're gonna add more.
Yeah, we're gonna add more. We'll go back to that one because that's a whole another 10-15 minutes. But
honesty. Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, stay tuned for part 2 because that's a good one.
Yeah.
But before we leave,
my shirt. My friend's in 7th grade is an artiste, and this is one of her paintings. But she also sells them on shirts. She doesn't know I'm doing this. It's one of my favorite shirts right now. Art with Lauren B. ART with WITH Lauren LAUREN B. Is that backwards because of the camera? Letter B. Art with Lauren B. on IG, and that's her website as well. You can buy her. It's really good shirt. I love this shirt.
Well, we support black businesses and our friends, so we always want to make sure we put that on.
I am a genuine fan of hers.
Yes, and my wife is an awesome photographer. But anyway, how did you feel about me this week?
When you did that one thing that you did.
What one thing?
You want me to tell?
I did a lot of things.
You sure did.
I did a lot of things.
Mm.
Oh, what's something that's PG that we can share?
You have been so worried about me lately. And although it's stressing me out, it makes me feel loved by you.
Oh, my worry. But
Yeah, because it's like the energy. Brian is not really like a worrier or what, but he's just, I think, moving into his like masculine, nurturing energy, but it's coming off as worried, and like I'm feeling it like but it's sweet, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
I feel love when you're worried about me. Because Brian, circa 2000 whatever, would be like, yeah, you be alright. I checked with the Holy Spirit. You okay? Like you just, I'd be like, damn, you didn't even call me. God said you fine,
Yeah,
and I
mean,
was fine, but still.
I just pray about it because Rosalind was in Hawaii for like 6 months, 10 months, and there was plenty of times when my mind would go crazy, and I got to the point where I'd be like, Lord, you guys just take care of it. I can't do it. I can't go over there. I can't punch nobody. I can't fly over there like Superman, take it from there. I can't do that. So I'm just gonna trust you. So I would just do that a lot. But
How did you feel loved by me?
yeah, how
This
did
week?
I feel about you?
Yeah.
What did you do that made me feel love? I think what is it? You had Face My Play that made me feel love, and then there was one thing I think you got me some juice. I was thinking it was a couple weeks ago, but I felt love when you did that. I always feel love when you bring me, little things and stuff like that. But
Right.
that's all we got for you this week.
Come back for part 2.
Part 2, and just even also just write things that you thought about that you didn't sign up for.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it can help somebody. They might
Yeah.
get to see something different, a different side of marriage.
That's real. Like it's normal. It's normal to go through these
Yeah.
things, and it doesn't have to be a relationship ending just because it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Both people have to be willing to work on it though. But
Yeah.
usually it does take one person to work on it first. Maybe we'll save that for part 2.
Yeah, just mention it. Because like I said, I know like we've all signed up for jobs and we like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be like this, or I didn't know it was gonna be like that, and that's okay, So just let us know in the comments below if you have any kind of opinion or any kind of advice. Because that's what we want, guys. We want your opinion. We want you to be involved. We want a conversation to be there.
We wanted to, cultivate a community. We really wanted a space, hopefully with us being vulnerable and sharing truths about our experiences. That leaves a space for y'all to be open and vulnerable. And
Mhm.
maybe you don't have therapy yet. Maybe it's not on the radar for you. But community goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But until then, guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that like button, share it with somebody, save it, do those things, man. Like keep it, and keep us in mind. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye.